The most important thing is that everyone understands more or less in the same way the problem connected today with this plan of 28 points, and that we also need to work with the American side to explain, in every possible detail, that no agreement and no peace terms can favor the aggressor or weaken Europe, Poland or Ukraine. It is not Ukraine that is responsible for this war, and we are all determined, that's how it looks, to settle by the end of the year, or rather by the December meeting of the European Council, the issue of these so-called frozen Russian assets. It cannot be that Europe pays for what Russia has done, not to mention that Ukraine should not suffer because of the destruction that Russia has caused in this war. So I hope this is not yet the final decision. There are still some concerns in a few European countries, but we are much closer to a decision that these Russian funds under Europe's control, these Russian financial resources, will support Ukraine both now and during the period of reconstruction. There is no consent for making military weakening a condition of peace, meaning, for example, imposing so-called limits on the number of soldiers in Ukraine. On this, too, virtually everyone agrees, and the issue is delicate, because no one wants to discourage the Americans and President Trump from getting the United States on our side in this process. As you can see, this is not entirely clear-cut, not easy, and everyone is choosing their words very carefully. It is also worth starting to ask out loud whether we should definitely agree to the presence of nuclear weapons in the Königsberg district. Are we hearing more and more about the presence of these weapons on the territory of Belarus? So at the appropriate moment, we will put this issue, this problem, on the agenda if necessary, I believe. Everything indicates that this point is essentially a Russian point of view, meaning it is a manipulation or a kind of trap. No one will allow themselves to be drawn into this point. We can safely assume that this point will not move forward. It has not reached us in any substantive form. Many weeks ago, President Naraki told me in a conversation that he was ready to take on this part of our international relations because he has excellent relations with President Trump. At least that is what he believes. He said he is ready to look after this area, claiming that he certainly has better relations than I do. I don't rule that out. I am not an enthusiast of all of President Trump's words, actions or decisions. I have never hidden that, so I am counting on greater activity from President Naraki. If he is able to achieve something, he should feel free to do so, and I will wholeheartedly support his efforts if he decides to undertake any.